Hi everyone, I'm Jess from Screen Moguls. Thank you for joining our third session of the week. This session will be about video on demand platforms and how you can potentially set one up. We've seen quite a lot of this over the last couple of months since lockdown began. It's a really interesting, really good way for independent cinemas to support themselves. And who knows, it might be the model going forward. So it's certainly worth learning about. So we've got Joe and Saz back from Substance Global again, and they will be taking everyone through everything. So I will hand over to them, and let's get started.
Perfect. All right, let me share my screen.
Great. I'll tell you a little bit about Substance Global to kick things off, just in case. I know some people joined the last session on Tuesday, but just so to recap, who the hell are we? What do we know? But yeah, so we're Substance Global, and despite advice that cinemas could reopen in July, fingers crossed, many independent cinemas are nervous to do this. So obviously because of all the safety and staff and audience all the concerns around keeping everyone safe. So we at Substance would like to share with you some of the learnings we've picked up in this, how everything's changing so quickly week to week, and offer just a little bit of advice. So we take at Substance a tailor-made approach to every campaign brief. We always spend time getting to know you, your audience, and your property before developing a strategy and executing. So we've got over 15 years of knowledge and expertise working with Disney, Paramount, Sega, Microsoft, as well as Curzon and all the independent cinema chains as well. And we are all about putting your content in the right place so people can see it. We're experts in building communities. So we work with Paramount UK, and we've grown their community up to a huge following. Most recently, when we worked on the Blue Story campaign, we created a 60k strong and vocal community within just 2 months. So we're all about growing communities. As I mentioned, here's some of the people that we work with. Phil Coaster, and our expertise. So today we're going to be, specifically talking more about social marketing, but at Substance we also have a creative team. We've got publicity and promotions. We do some smart spend, so any paid advertising you'd be interested in. We've also got a really great digital strategy and insights team. So we're really keen on looking at the numbers behind stuff. And we've got an events and experiential team. So we'll go into kind of like live cinema drive-through experiences later on. But just so you've got a bit of an awareness of who we are and what we do. But I'm going to pass over to Saz, who's our social lead. Take it away.
Thank you. So I guess as Jess said, there's been a big expansion in virtual cinema, particularly over the last couple of months. And one of the key players has obviously been Kino Lorber with Kino Marquee. So just wanted to give a little bit of context around them. So this is obviously a full virtual cinema initiative, and people can buy a virtual ticket through their specific exhibitor, and the revenue is shared between the distributor and the exhibitor. So this is obviously sort of the golden egg. This is what seems like a really strong model. However, it's not yet available in the UK. So what makes the Kino Lorber model really strong is that obviously it is powered by Kino Now. So that's where you can, the app and website where you can watch and download the films, and also through your smart TV functionalities. And that's something that we'll go into. There are some options that are cheaper and perhaps easier, but they don't have that smart TV functionality. Rental periods of the film do seem to be about 5 days, and as I said, it's not yet available in the UK. But it's definitely a great model. So we'll go through a few options of things that might be alternatives to that. So in terms of one-off screening, so a lot of the virtual cinema model, I guess, depends on what resources you have available, whether you have the ability to build a web app integration, or if you're needing to use more sort of off-the-shelf products. So looking at the one-off screenings, off-site purchase, these are a couple of the options that you could look to. So at the very, very basic end, you could look at screening within Facebook private group. So this is where you'd set up a Facebook event pointing to your exhibitor site for people to purchase tickets, and then linking them through to a private Facebook group, and then very manually entering the people, allowing the people into the Facebook private group. So obviously this is a good option if you don't have the resource to build that web integration. However, there are some considerations around it. Obviously, not everyone has Facebook, and it is limited by the manual ability to let people into the group. So it's really weighing up the resource and cost for that one. But however, it is truly a social option. So one of the things we've been doing recently with Bird's Eye View, which is obviously through the female-focused filmmaker initiative from the BFI, is doing a lot of screenings, sort of self-resource screenings, followed by Q&As with filmmakers and experts. So I'll show you some of the examples here. So this is one of the ones that we did most recently with Mark Cousins, and film historians as well. And we have been using a technology called StreamYard to do these, let me just turn the volume off so it doesn't, but to be doing these live chats. And this is something that you could consider in terms of a themed event with your virtual cinema, adding that additional value to the experience. Is a great way to obviously help bolster the community and also, yeah, provide that added value. And for these live streams, we've been using a technology called StreamYard, which you can now see on the screen. And how that works, make sure I'm muted, is you can just pull people in and out, as you can see along the bottom here, pull your guests in and out. And so this is a really cheap option. I think it's about £10 a month or something like that, where you can sort of broadcast studio your live streams in a really professional manner. So that's definitely one of my top tips in terms of making the virtual cinema a little wider reaching.
Saz, can you put the name of that in the group chat so we can make sure that everyone sees it? Just if you just type it in. And also, sorry everyone, I forgot to say, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. There's a chat icon up in the right-hand corner, and feel free to put your question in there, and we will get back on them at the end of the session. Sorry, should have said that at the beginning. Thanks.
Cool. Let me just add the other link. So the link to StreamYard and into the Bird's Eye View chats are in the chat now. Great. Okay, so going back to some of the virtual cinema options, as I mentioned, Facebook private group. Additionally, you could look at YouTube private link. So again, this is something that could sit on your exhibitor site for purchase to an individual screening. Once purchased, obviously email confirmation with the link to a private YouTube video, which can be on YouTube itself or embedded on your exhibitor site behind a paywall. Obviously, one of the considerations with this is, whilst it is a private link or an unlisted link, it's not as secure as some of the other options, and that link, even if embedded, could be shared. So there's definitely security considerations in terms of, I guess, distribution. Vimeo Embed is slightly more secure. You're not able to get the URL, but again, another option. And Patreon in a similar manner is more of an option for one-off or subscription. I'm not sure if any of you have been using Patreon for anything else, but how it works is you purchase your ticket or your subscription on Patreon and then receive the code to a private link. So again, this could be YouTube or Vimeo. It's fairly secure, but again, if someone was to look into the code, that video link could be shared. And another consideration is that cost could escalate with success. So Patreon takes between 5 and 12% of revenue based on dependent on your plan. So that's definitely something to consider, but maybe a cheaper option if you're looking at one-off virtual cinema events. Now, looking at virtual film festivals, this is where we look at more OTT technology. But first, just sort of signposting some of the virtual film festivals that are happening right now. So we have Cheltenham International Film Festival, which is running from the 8th of June. We just had some news through from Independent Cinema. They've got a really great newsletter. Joe, if you can put the link to it in the chat, would be great. But they are offering the opportunity for UK cinemas to join as virtual screening partners and take 10% of commission of any ticket sales. So we just wanted to really signpost that. We think that's a really great initiative going at the moment. Then, of course, We Are One is running from today. So this is obviously the 10-day online celebration, which is sort of a partnership with pretty much every major film festival, Cannes, Tribeca, Berlin, as well as some of the other smaller festivals. I had a look today. There's some really great content up. And so this is being housed on YouTube. They're using the YouTube Premiere functionality, so where videos are free, but are being sort of introed and expired within certain time slots to, I guess, provide a bit more of a call to action and to make sure that it's that scheduled tune-in time. But definitely an interesting one to check out. Now, looking at some of the more long-term virtual cinema film festival models that you could do, we mentioned Facebook earlier, Facebook private groups. Now looking more at Facebook subscribers. So this is where you actually set up fan subscriptions on your exhibitor page, and you can allow dedicated fans to support through a fixed price every month. So one of the benefits that you could include is sort of exclusive video or exclusive screening. Unfortunately, one of the considerations is that it can't be one-off purchase, so it would need to be a monthly monthly recurring subscription, and it doesn't have, you can get Facebook on your smart TV, but it's not super integrated. However, if you were wanting to just start out low, this is something that you could look to do, particularly if you're looking at themed film festivals. So probably not the latest films, but more of a curated selection of films. This is something that you could look to do on Facebook subscriber. Now, we had a lot of response from the survey around Vimeo OTT. So I wanted to pull out sort of one of their big case studies is on IndieFlix. So IndieFlix launched on Vimeo OTT in about 2017. They were a male DVD service, I guess, like the original Netflix. But they recognized the virtual cinema model and developed their own platforms. However, the CEO basically said that they were spending all of this time doing tech development and software development to try and keep IndieFlix on the cutting edge and continuing to stream, and that they weren't spending enough time on creativity and film development. And so that's why they decided to go with Vimeo OTT. So and as you can see, they've really taken with it. So they've got about 7,700 films hosted on Vimeo OTT and about 38,000 monthly visitors to it. So it's become, I mean, their main purpose is the streaming platform. So I think that they're a really great example of how you can use Vimeo OTT. So going a bit further into what is Vimeo OTT. So essentially, it is a off-the-shelf subscription service. So you can, when you sign up to Vimeo OTT, you set up an account, and you can either host a one-off or subscription service. I would recommend the one-off service because obviously it's a little easier to maintain and to get people to sign up. So it works very much like a an Amazon Prime or a Rakuten, where viewers go in and they can select a film to rent. You could work with a distributor. I know there's a few distributors looking into Vimeo OTT, where they could be hosting the OTT using like unique tracking links and then sharing revenue accordingly. Alternatively, if you wanted to set up a Vimeo OTT, it's fairly easy to do. The only, I guess, thing to consider is the cost. It works on a $1 per person per month cost, or about $500 per month. So if I click here, and I'll again share this in the chat. So this tool here is really interesting in that it allows you to put in like what your approximate, this is on the subscription model rather than the per film model, but say you were doing a subscription, you set your monthly subscriber fee in here, $10 a month, say, and the estimated amount of subscribers, and then it can tell you what the estimated revenue would be. Then you can look to add on your Vimeo OTT the apps that you want to integrate. And this is what's really important, I think, because some of the other options I've presented are great, but it's really the smart TV integration that's going to set your virtual cinema model apart. You know, that's how people like to view films typically, is either like on their TV or through their mobile. So you can, as part of the Vimeo OTT, you just add which ones you want to include. I would say these top for potentially Android as well. And then it tells you how many subscribers you need to get to break even. So they handle all of the digital rights management as well as live streaming, and it seems like a really solid choice for virtual cinema. You can, let me have a look if I can pull up Interflix. So you can see what it looks like to, sorry, it's a bit low. If you can see this. So this is essentially what, if you got Vimeo OT, it would look like. You would integrate it into your website, and people could go along and click which film they're wanting to watch, subscribe, or start their free trial. And Vimeo OTT basically handles all of the technical elements of that. They've got a webinar coming up on June 16th, which looks really great. So I definitely recommend signing up to that. Streamio. Then looking at, so obviously those are some of the options for virtual cinema, but there has been a massive influx in other socially distanced cinema, and particularly drive-ins. So drive-ins are really set to be the trend of the summer. We're already seeing huge results in the US because they've already been starting to do a lot of drive-ins. And seeing some really great results from independent cinema as well. I think there is about 3 companies so far who have already locked in drive-in cinemas, things like Luna Cinema, but there's no reason why you couldn't convert your own cinema car parks, if you've got them, into an outdoor cinema. So obviously there's some considerations, car park availability. I know there's a lot of cinemas that are in sort of public car parks. One of the sort of recommendations we've got is around doing Sunday night drive-ins, because obviously a lot of the shops close earlier on Sundays. Security, obviously making sure that people aren't able to park outside and view the film, audio input, and then obviously health and safety regulations, which are super important at the moment. We are Substance is already looking into and costing up drive-in activities. If you are keen to hear more about them, definitely contact me and we can pull together a specific cost for you. And then additionally, socially distanced outdoor cinema. So this is a bit more of a traditional outdoor cinema that you could consider with socially distanced spaces. So obviously we've all seen this image from Brooklyn, a Brooklyn park, of the circles on the ground. I think that this could be a cheaper way for you to put together outdoor cinema whilst maintaining social distance, just something to consider. And we have we can pull together costs for that if you needed to those. So I think it would be good. I know you'll probably have a lot of questions. Let's open them up and let me know.
Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. There we go. Friday afternoon, eh? Right. So when using Facebook groups to organize a watch party, do you have to use a video that's already uploaded to Facebook? And how does this work in terms of keeping it private?
Yes, you would need to do it, upload it. I guess the private aspect of it is making sure that it's a private Facebook group. So you would you'd make a group specifically for this cinema session, and then when you click to join the group, you would you'd basically need to be added to the group, so your name would pertain to what was on the booking, and then that would be matched and let into the group. So that's why one of the considerations is making sure that there's like a time that people need to have entered the group by, and also limiting numbers to the screening to like 500 or something like that, whatever the admin is available. But that's you know, that's a way that could be, it sounds really simple, but it's like it could be an affordable way to do it that's like still quite secure. Like the Facebook group is definitely more secure than an unlisted YouTube link, I would say.
So the follow-on question from that is, so you couldn't use a public group with a private video?
No, it would need to be a private group. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, it says, and keep the video private until a certain time.
Oh yes, so you would no, that's fine, Christina. Yes, so that's right. So you would specify for people to join the group at a certain time, then you'd premiere the video and then expire it at the end so that it's like only available for that specific session time, rather than it staying on the group for a long time. Yeah.
I think that was great, guys. Lots of really interesting options. What I'm going to do as well, I'll plug myself here a little bit. I wrote an article for Celluloid Junkie a couple of, way back at the beginning of lockdown about what cinemas were doing around the world in terms of virtual screenings and VOD platforms. So I will stick that link in the chat as well, because there were a number of interesting options. I mean, it's really amazing how creative some of the cinemas have become with these sorts of things.
Yeah, I think definitely if you have the capacity to be building embeddable video into your existing exhibitor site, that opens things up a lot more than having to do it on other sites. So where you have the capacity to put an embeddable video behind the, I guess, paywall of your ticketing, that creates more of a secure option. But I know some people don't have that option.
It's also worth, without doing a giant ad for them, because I don't work for them. Vista have partnered with a software company called Screen Plus for platforms. So if you work with Vista already, it might be worth reaching out to them and seeing what options are available. But I think the thing is, what we were trying to demonstrate with this is that there's a range of options available. You don't have to spend huge amounts of money on it. You know, this is potentially something that's going to be quite important going forward. Who knows? But you don't have to spend a ton of money on it, because we know, not everyone has the budget to embed something. So yeah, hopefully this will have given you some additional thoughts and some options. Again, this video will be made available at the beginning of next week. We've got a quiet week next week. There aren't any other sessions, but we've got the PR session scheduled now for the 16th of June, and we've got the session with Global Radio talking about local radio and how to advertise on local radio for very affordable rates. And that's on the 9th of June, but I'll be sending out emails about all of this as well. And we are still working on scheduling a direct chat with Facebook in. They are rather busy at the minute working on a Back to Cinema webinar, which hopefully we will be able to share some stuff about that with you guys as well. But if you have any questions or need to get in touch with any of us, please just drop me a line. And otherwise, have a lovely weekend, everyone. And we'll see you in week after next.
Cool.
Thanks, Jess.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. Have a good weekend.